Hola, everyone. Welcome to Social Buzz new podcast episode with me, your friend and guide Ambuj Saxena. What if I told you all that you have the possibility of making videos on your own? Your marketing team does not need to depend on an agency to make videos for you. How would that sound to you? Well, if that sounds perfect to you, we have a wonderful guest for you today, Miss Dani Hao. Hi, Dani.
Hi, Ambuj. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Dani is a marketing communications leader who has worked in both B2C and B2B space and is passionate about building brands, community, and real connections. Currently, she leads communications and community building efforts at Lumen5, a Vancouver-based SaaS company that has created an easy-to-use video maker for content creators to scale and repurpose their their uh, content into eye-catching videos. Content into eye-catching videos. So, in a nutshell, Lumen5 is a video creator made by marketers and for the marketers. Dani believes that more organizations should do marketing consciously by creating campaigns that build trust, authenticity, and diversity. She combines her love of listening along with her love for content creation and teaching, where she believes thought leadership is the essence of finding your own opinion and amplifying it. In her free time, Dani loves staying active and giving back to the community by mentoring upcoming marketers and university graduates. A warm welcome to you, Dani. We are so happy to have you on our podcast. I'm sure that your knowledge, your skills, your enthusiasm will be of essence to our community.
Thank you so much, Ambuj. Happy to be chatting with you.
Dani, can you please repeat?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ambuj. Very happy to be chatting with you.
Yeah. So we'll be asking a few questions from you, Dani. Those questions will revolve around your life, your professional life, your updates, and maybe some questions that you might not be expecting right now with us. Are you game for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So Dani, let's start with the most basic question. How did you enter the world of B2B marketing?
For sure. So when I was younger, I've always been interested in marketing. I think it kind of combines, psychology, the way that humans think, and also the way that they purchase, along with also a lot of creativity as well. How do you attract the right audiences to your product in the most creative way? And also, I think combines the arts as well because you're thinking about, what content formats, what audience formats that work best with your audience. So that's kind of what attracted me to marketing. But I started my role in PR and communications. So that's a lot about, like public relations, media relations. And that's kind of how I started my career. And then after that field, after a few gigs in the B2C world, I decided to leave that world behind and, start my own content marketing agency. And this time I worked with a lot of small, medium sized businesses where I got to really see them grow and grow their audience. That's when I kind of met my previous company, Procurify, where they were a SaaS business with that makes purchasing software, and I really loved the SaaS world from there. So after I worked with them, I realized that the software community is really awesome because they're able to quickly adapt on the fly. They were really open to feedback, and that's how I kind of entered the world of B2B marketing.
Wow, that's quite a journey. I think you've tasted many facets of marketing, and I think you've made your choice as well. I think B2B marketing is the way to go, and I think you're in the perfect place. This is the place where the world is going. B2B marketing for video content creation, and so yeah. So can't wait for you to answer the next question. So Dani, you have mentioned about the term conscious marketing. We have learned about these terms like sustainability and things like that for tourism, hospitality, and things like that. However, for marketing, we've not heard this term. What does conscious marketing mean to you?
For sure. So, conscious marketing, in my opinion, it's kind of doing marketing in a way that is intentional, but also you're doing it in a way that is conscious to yourself and your customers. So, I've seen a lot of companies in the past, especially working with them as a consultant, and a lot of companies are doing marketing for the sake of marketing. So they might be
Yeah.
cutting corners just to get leads. They might be doing gimmicks just to win customers. But these customers are not going to stay with you unless you're actually interacting with them consciously. This meaning you're doing it with respect, with honesty, and also with a way that actually suits how they want to think. So this really goes back to understanding your audience. So if you know your audience wants to consume format in one particular way and you're creating format that's completely different from what they want, that's not going to connect with your audience. And when you think back on your marketing campaigns, that also not going to drive you results because you're not thinking in a conscious way. So really conscious marketing amplifies the trust and also the authenticity behind your brand, but also you're doing a lot of research on what your customers actually want, and you're doing marketing in a way that actually suits them and not yourself.
Wonderful. I think in marketing we have learned that it's not about what you want to sell. It's more about what people want from you. And I
Mhm.
think that is the essence of conscious marketing. If I'm right, have I got it right?
Yeah, exactly. What is it that they want and not what you want?
Yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful thoughts, Dani. I think so. So since you have deep dived into B2B marketing, what do you think is the future of B2B content marketing? Because you've tasted both the world. You've tasted the world of content marketing, and you are tasting the world of B2B marketing. Now, what is the future of B2B content marketing for you?
For sure. So a lot of people, when they hear content marketing, they think written content. We both were within the era of the blog. So a few years back, that's when the blog and SEO were the hottest ways to really grow a brand. People became contributors, people grew their own blog, people got guest writers to write content for their blog. And so when we even think of content marketing, we still kind of think written content. But I think the future is more than that, especially with the evolution of all of these social channels. Nowadays, you can actually create one piece of written content and turn that into many different content format types. For example, you can turn a blog post into an infographic, maybe take some of that data and the images into a series of slideshows. That's one way to do it. And also you can create a video out of it as well, but it takes a lot of budget. So that's kind of where Lumen5 comes in. You can really repurpose that. So I think the future of content really is to create something that suits both the audience, but also a new format type. So you don't have to work hard. You can work smarter. You can create one piece of written content because, most people will still need written content, but repurpose that into different formats. So now you're getting 1 for 10, so 10 for one.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it's all about repurposing your content. It's all
Mhm.
about repurposing content to suit the needs, to suit the consumption patterns of your customers. And I think video is the most engaging format there is right now on social media, at least, for people to engage and interact with the brand. So I think, yes, the future of B2B content marketing is vast, and it's not just limited to writing. It's also about, talking and being presentable on a video, and
Yeah,
that's where Lumen steps in. Yeah, perfect.
definitely.
Uh, so, Dani, what do you think? How can one increase brand trust and engagement with content formats other than the written content?
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing I would say to recommend everybody is to start researching what your audience likes. So, depending on your target segment and depending on what product and service you're offering, they might actually like one particular social network more than others, depending on their age and their demographics. So, I would go there and take a look at your current customers, especially the ones that are coming back and have a larger lifetime customer value. What is it that they're currently consuming? How do they consume? And then from there, incorporate that into your content strategy. For example, because Lumen5, we market to other marketers, they understand that there's many different content format types. And also they're trying to always elevate their content game. And because most marketers are already doing written content marketing, one way that we found out that they want to stand out is through other content formats that are more engaging, like you mentioned, like video. So we ran a poll recently on LinkedIn where we asked people, if budget was not a concern and you wanted to make something other than written content, what is it that you want to try? And I think 60 or 70% of people actually mentioned video, and there was a portion of people that mentioned infographics, and a portion of people that also mentioned other content types like quizzes. So a lot of it is really more engaging than written content. So that's kind of why Lumen 5 comes in, and we're able to help you create that video in an easy way but also very cost effective way.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's really insightful. Was there any other content format that people were interested in making apart from written and video?
Yeah, some people also mention audio. So, like what we're doing right now, some people are saying B2B podcasts are the way. Right now, it's already very popular. A lot of companies already have their podcast. But now the question is, how do you really drive awareness and trust with your podcast? So, in my opinion, this means making sure you're having, for example, customers on your podcast, making sure you're having prospects on the podcast, so you're talking about problems that your company or service is able to solve. And from there, if you build a rapport with that person, they might actually trust your brand more and they might interact with other assets within your company and eventually maybe become a customer. But you got to first provide value. And that's kind of really the part of conscious marketing that I think people need to understand. Sometimes when you're trying to get someone to buy something, they're not ready. So you got to make sure you're building that relationship with them before they really take the leap.
So profound. That's perfect. I think that's the real purpose of being a marketer. Dani, we've discussed about you. We've discussed about the ideas of B2B content marketing, how people can engage and trust more content formats. Now let's come to the elephant in the room. What is Lumen5, and who does Lumen5 serve?
Yeah, for sure. So Lumen5 is a video creator made by marketers for marketers. So our founders, they understood that the content marketing world is really changing, and people cannot really rely on agencies to really create all these content formats they're dreaming about, because clearly, like, not everybody has the budget and time. So who we target are growing companies that want to really diversify their content formats and elevate their content marketing game by trying to create a solution that's easy to use. That if you don't have a video editing background, you're able to make a great looking video using Lumen 5. All you really need to do is have one piece of content ready, either a blog post, you can even link the blog post, or type out what is it that you want the video to actually talk about. And then our AI generator will generate clips and also stock images that suit is it that you're talking about, and it will create a video for you in less than 10 minutes.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really intuitive, and I think that's enabler. If I look at the bigger picture, you are enabling people to make video content, and that's also a part of a very big social community service. You are empowering people to go about video content creation, and that's very helpful for even small businesses to repurpose their content from written form to a video form. That is, I think, amazing. So Lumen 5 has always been in the limelight, and now having somebody as dynamic as enthusiastic as you, Dani, on board, I'm sure there are a lot of things that you are doing, and there are a lot of new initiatives that you must be launching. If you would like to take us through whatever initiatives you're doing at Lumen 5, we'd be really happy.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that we're doing is we're also launching a podcast of our own called Supercharge Marketing. So within this podcast, we're going to be focusing on the brand building. So how are marketers building brand using trust and authenticity? So we're going to be interviewing a lot of B2B marketers on the podcast, and they're going to be really talking deeply about their subjects of concern and also how they've actually learned from their mistakes. I think in the B2B marketing world, we tend to talk a lot about, our successes and what we've done correctly. But I think it's the failures that we're able to find the lessons in. So that's one thing we really want to highlight. And also in B2B marketing, I've noticed that in recent years, there's been a lot of podcasts that focus on digital marketing when it comes to the paid side or when it comes to the analytical side. But I think also one thing that inspires marketers is really great stories that come out of the B2B marketers. So that's also one thing we want to focus on the podcast. A second thing we're also launching as well is a executive webinar series where we're bringing in all of these amazing speakers and panelists, and they're also teaching you, along with the visuals on video, what is it that the campaigns are running, what is it that makes them successful, and also some tips and tricks for you to really use Lumen 5 along with your other tools to really elevate what you're currently doing right now in your company.
Oh, wonderful! That is really good. I think you just mentioned storytelling over there, and I think as a content marketer, I think nobody can take the content marketer out of you, Dani. You are a true
Yeah.
content marketer, and you know that content marketers do rely on storytelling to bring about a change, to bring about an influence. and to bring about a behavioral change in people and to sell best. So I think video does that perfectly. In fact, just a few days back, I was talking to somebody, and they told us that blogs are not in, emailers are not doing the job. Why create videos and things like that? And I told them that if you need some mind space of people whom you're talking to, you need to look out for a bit longer form content. And when it comes to written form content, it's blogs. And if it's about call to action based content, it has to be emailers where you can have multiple buttons to take people to different parts of your website. And when it comes to really interacting with people, looking them in the eye, it has to be a video. And I think that was something that cracked them up a little bit, and they agreed to work with us for video content creation and things like that. So yes, Lumen 5, I think you have great ideas for Lumen 5, and I think that with you on board, Lumen 5 will actually reach new heights and will be a very very big force to reckon with. And yes, your podcast is going to be really amazing. I wish you all the best for that, Tani. But Dani, there's one question that is out of course. I'm sure you must have been a good student in your college and school. Were you a good student?
No, I wasn't actually the best student. So sometimes I would not show up to class because I thought, you just need to show up for the exams, right? In school, it's a lot about the standardized testing. So I actually worked on a lot of my side projects while we were in school. And I don't think the professors like that. But also because there's so many people in the classes, sometimes they don't notice. So I got away with it.
So wonderful. So whenever we do give examinations, we stick to our course, and we stick to our syllabus. That this is the amount of study that we have to do. And if we encounter any question that is out of the syllabus, it really turns out a little bad for us. So there's this one question out of syllabus. We did not discuss this at all, and I'm sure that you were not prepared for this question. So Dani, while doing this interview, we have noticed something new that has been announced by Mark Zuckerberg about the change of Facebook from Facebook to Zeta, with the app not getting changed in its name. But there's a new concept. There's Web 3.0 that has been launched with this Meta announcement. Lumen 5 is intuitive platform. It is making videos. It is using intelligence of its own to create videos within 10 minutes. Where do you think, Dani, does Lumen 5 and people like you and me have a role to play in Metaverse?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the whole metaverse concept really talks about how different aspects of the social community online is going to all merge into one. So I think when it comes to how people connect with each other, in the metaverse, they're going to be creating so many different types of content, and they're also going to be looking at how to really bring people closer together online. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people are worried about within the metaverse. So within the metaverse, how do you make sure that the connections are still authentic even though it's online? So that's one thing I think we're going to start seeing for a lot of tech companies. How is it that you can build closer connections? So one thing is that, for companies that are no longer, not yet using video, they're probably going to start using video, because even earlier in 2020, Mark Zuckerberg also mentioned that on Facebook, this is before the metaverse announcement, that they're going to want to have more video creators on the platform because they do see that videos are able to bring people closer together. So now we're just taking the next extra step on that. So perhaps on top of video, maybe people will be doing VR video. So where you can actually put on VR goggles and be able to be fully immersed in the video. So that's one other thing. I think another thing is that people will stay more connected online for longer periods of time. So right now, you can choose to go online and log in on your social network and then log off. But with the metaverse, you can still stay connected, but maybe just put your status as offline. So your avatar will still be there. And that's also one thing. The way to engage your customers' attention is going to be more important than ever. So how can you keep them engaged, and how can you not let them be distracted by all the other amazing things? So that's another thing to consider. And I think the third point also is when it comes to data. So data is going to be connected more than ever. So the way that you interact on one particular platform or one particular way, it's going to be inspired to other platforms as well. So they're going to take that data and they're going to recommend you content that really suits you based on how you click, or maybe what you're scrolling on. So this is why content relevance is going to be more than important than ever in the future as well in the metaverse. How do you make sure that you are creating content that your audience loves so they can recommend more like yours.
Yeah, wonderful. But Dani, tell me one thing, that everything seems very positive. But do you think there's also any negative? Because everything that happens in this universe has two sides to it. It has a positive side and a negative side. We can see the positive side, and we are really upbeat about the positive side because we are very close to where the curve is moving. But is there some sort of disadvantage as well of this metaverse concept coming into our real lives? Do you think there's something negative as well that's going to happen?
Yeah. I think that when it comes to human connections, interactions, in person will never be replaced. That's kind of my own opinion because you cannot really fully, understand the other person's body language. If they're your family member or loved one, you can't hug them. So there's many aspects I think that are still missing a little bit. And I think it is quite dangerous to really rely on the metaverse itself to really fully replace human connection and interaction. I think especially because we've just, as human species, lived through something like the pandemic, where so many people were disconnected from their loved ones and family, that this concept is considered really exciting because, if we had that in the pandemic, then maybe a lot of families were able to see each other in the virtual world and be able to find themselves closer together. But I think now moving away from the pandemic, and I'm hopeful that the pandemic will end soon, I'm afraid that the metaverse will keep a lot of people within the virtual space, and that especially more introverted people, they may be now hesitant to really go out there and connect. So I think these companies, especially for example Meta, or I guess previously Facebook, they need to create controls in which they still encourage people to really get out there and enjoy a lot of the in-person aspects of communication, but also provide a way for those, I guess, communities that are not able to meet in person. So I think there needs to be a balance of both for sure.
Yeah, that's very nice, Dani. I think yes, you are right. I think with the amount of mobile consumption that we have on a daily basis, and I can see from my own experience that people of all age groups are totally into their mobile phones.
Yeah.
So that is one aspect of distraction, that when you're sitting around a one dining table, the whole family and all of them are into their own mobile devices. So that is already happening, and metaverse brings us closer to even more distracting lifestyles. Less of face to face and more on Facebook interactions. And yes, I feel that there is human connection. There's a physical touch that cannot be replaced. But yes, I can see that there will be mini theaters. Maybe the entire team of Lumen5, headed by Dani, will be watching a Netflix show together. Having their own avatars. So maybe anything is going to happen on avatars and on metaverse, and change beckons the world, and I think Meta is leading the way. But let's be very social in understanding what is coming out to be. But having said all that, Dani, it was a wonderful experience to have you on a Social Bus podcast. We love to have you here, and we love to hear your views. And we would love to have you make your own podcast, videos, and things like that. And we would love to see you progress in the future, Dani.
Thank you so much for having me, Ambuj. And it's really great to talk to you and your audience. I think this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. With that, we end this episode of Social Bus Podcast. Please stay tuned for more episodes to come in the days to come. Thank you.